This is from our buddies at savingcountrymusic.com, so check them out. They really have some great articles on country music there. Authenticity and dysfunction are regularly celebrated in country music, and what better way to celebrate that than to look back in time at some of the most notable mugshots and arrests of country music's most notable stars. Starting off our list is the country music icon known as Johnny Cash. Cash was arrested twice. The first was after a trip to Mexico when he tried to hide 1,163 dexedrine and Equinil tablets in his guitar case while crossing the border near El Paso, Texas in 1965. Since the drugs were prescription instead of illegal narcotics, Cash received a suspended sentence. He was arrested again in 1966 in Starksville, Mississippi for, get this, picking flowers late at night. The property owner pressed trespassing charges, and Johnny spent time in the Starkville County Jail, resulting in the song of the same name. Though Cash was famous for his concerts at Folsom Prison in San Quentin, he never served time in anything bigger than a city jail. This second mugshot is just for show. Next on our list is Willie Nelson. The trouble started for Willie Nelson way back in 1960, when he was arrested for speeding in Pasadena, Texas, near Houston. And then came the pot bust. 1974 for possession in Dallas, Texas. 1994, he was arrested for possession in Hewitt near Waco. When Willie pulled his Mercedes off the side of the highway for a siesta, and an officer found a joint in the ashtray, and eventually a bag of marijuana. The judge ruled the evidence admissible, and the charges were dropped. In 2006, he was arrested for possession in St. Martin Parish, Louisiana, for 1.5 pounds of marijuana and 3 ounces of hallucinogenic mushrooms. Willie, his sister Bobby, and Willie's manager were all arrested, eventually receiving 6 months probation. In 2010, he was arrested once again for possession of 6 ounces of marijuana at the Sierra Blanca, Texas border checkpoint. Willie eventually only had to pay a fine. In the dead of night, in November of 1976, a drunken and armed Jerry Lee Lewis showed up at the gates of Graceland, demanding to see his fellow Sun Studio alum Elvis, right then and there. The guard rang Elvis, who refused the killer's request, and then rang Memphis police when Lewis began waving a gun around. You may think because Hank Jr. was the last of his rowdy friends to settle down, that at some point he'd wind up in the pokey. But it turns out his mugshot was for a bunk charge from a 19-year-old in March of 2006 that said Jr. put her in a chokehold after she refused to kiss him. Jr. turned himself in, and after finding out that the girl was looking to cash in big on the accusation, and that there was no real evidence of the altercation, the charges were dropped. In November of 2003, Glenn Campbell was arrested at his home near Phoenix, Arizona, after hitting and running while drunk in his BMW. Then, while Campbell was being processed, he kneed an officer in the leg, which added an aggravated assault of a police officer charge. Campbell pleaded down some of the counts and eventually spent 10 days in jail. Domestic abuse charges landed Rodney Atkins in front of the police camera in February of 2012, but the news about the charges didn't come out until his wife filed for divorce a few weeks later. The news also came on the heels of Rodney re-signing with Curb Records. The charges were later dropped as part of the divorce settlement. While technically not a mugshot, it is one of my favorite stories of those associated with country music. Notable country music songwriter Billy Joe Shaver is sitting on the witness stand stemming from an altercation behind Papa Joe's Bar near Waco, Texas in 2007, when Schaefer shot a man non-lethally in the face with a .22 caliber pistol. The incident became a piece of country music lore when Dale Watson wrote a song titled Where Do You Want It? Allegedly for the question Schaefer asked his victim before he pulled the trigger. The high-profile trial included Willie Nelson showing up as a Schaefer character witness, and also Robert Duvall, and eventually all charges were dropped against him when it was ruled that Schaefer was acting in self-defense. You better believe DAC would be here. But unfortunately, this is the biggest photo we can drum up of David from his time in the Ohio State penal system. Coe was also arrested in 2008 after an altercation in a casino when a misunderstanding about a jackpot resulted in security officers and police wrestling Coe to the ground. Coe countersued in 2010 for false arrest and assault. The entire altercation was caught on tape and can be found here on YouTube. Well, I sure hope you found that video interesting, and if you did, why not give it a like and subscribe to the channel. We upload videos about twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. We don't want you to miss a single one.